Hey everybody, I'm recording this at night, so my battery power is like 25%. How about you? Do a quick check-in with yourself. On that note, are we kinder to machines than ourselves? I was talking to a friend a couple months ago who was telling me all about this work that she had to get done, and I said, well, be easy on yourself. Just remember that you are not a machine, you're only human. And then it hit me, oh my gosh, actually, if we were machines, we would be way better about making sure that we got rest and self care, whether it's taking care of our body, those basic needs like showering and eating and drinking water, or things that are beyond that. Nobody talks about your phone needing to be charged, like, oh, what a lazy phone, or going to get gas for your car and saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe that the car can't make it with no gas in the tank. So just keep that in mind. So I'm just expanding on some topics that we didn't quite get to, and thank you for bearing with me as I'm learning to keep to a schedule. I know your time is important, but I still felt like even though not all these topics were expanded on, I think that the time was so well spent and I learned so much from all of you. And I know that there were some challenges scheduling. I definitely picked a busy time of the year, and a lot of folks had commitments in the morning or at the afternoon. So um, I think that, again, we still had a wonderful time addressing so much, so much. Um, these are topics that we will get more into when we have the second Route to Renewal, which is hopefully going to be a Saturday in November, so stay tuned. And I'll also do a virtual one, so stay tuned for that. The second thing I wanted to highlight was the power of community. So, also known as social support, the clinical term. One thing that is a consensus in the research is that when it's expected and scheduled in, or just regular somehow and frequent, that it's more powerful, of course. So maybe this is just your sign to schedule a weekly coffee date with a friend that's really caring, or whatever it is, going to be different for all of us. But it really got me thinking that um, when we were looking at those resilience cards, or those pieces of paper that I made you go find throughout the ballroom, so many of them touched on social support, right? Like, you smiled during your week, or whatever it was that made you more resilient because of someone else, for many of us. So I think that really just speaks to the power of community. When it comes to healing from trauma, or some of these other difficult experiences like burnout, grief, even the everyday stressors that accumulate, somewhere along the way, at least some of the steps have to be with people. So that's something to take note of because often gets overlooked. Okay, the third thing that I wanted to highlight was specific therapies for trauma. So this workshop was not designed for deep trauma processing. I think we'll do a little bit of light trauma processing next time, a little bit more than what we did this time. Um, but it's not really meant for deep trauma processing because we don't want people to really be triggered, and it's not really like the setting for that, especially since a lot of us don't know each other. But with that being said, I want to kind of give an overview of some of these. So the body keeps a score goes into a much better description on these, but EMDR is eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. So it's basically the therapist using some kind of uh, good stimulus, a benign stimulus, so something that's not associated with something scary for you, like a clicking sound. You could even hold clickers yourself as the client, to introduce bilateral stimulation, so both your brain hemispheres being stimulated, which slows you down, and it can help set you up to stimulate that vagus nerve, overall that parasympathetic nervous system, to slow you down and to tell your brain that you are safe. The eye movement part is because the hope is that as you close your eyes, you are mimicking the eye movement that you would do during sleep, specifically REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep where healing of the body occurs and you get like a deeper sleep, which of course is when your brain is definitely telling yourself that you're safe. I'm really not doing it justice. Like I said, I'm just giving a quick overview now, but I did want to say that um, that is one therapy right now that a lot of people are going to because it's helpful for many people for many types of therapies, and you don't really have to have the pressure of going into the nitty-gritty of every single detail. You can even just talk about how things made you feel. So again, look that up more. Okay, the next one is somatic experiencing. I will say same with EMDR too. Although that one you like kind of have to be certified in for it to work, or there could be people that still know a lot of the principles. Maybe you can help you out. With somatic experiencing, you don't have to be certified in that. Somatic experiencing, that's like a branded one, to really help a client. So if they have a long waiting list and you really want to try this out, after you look it up, you can look for words like body, somatic, somatic experiencing inspired, things like that, because it can take a lot of time and money for people to get certified in that, and it's not always easy to like find someone. Anyway, that is basically like the therapist will have a conversation with you as you're talking about a traumatic memory, checking in with you and saying, okay, what are those bodily sensations? So if you remember kind of toward the end of the day when we did the relaxing exercise, I was asking you not so much your feelings as you did the exercise and how you felt afterward, but how your body was feeling. So one of the steps of healing from trauma is that we're reconnecting ourselves to our body. So that could be heat, pressure, tension release, for example. They're also going to be showing you that you are now safe and that the thing that happened to you in the past was the past. And so let's say you're talking about a time that you were traumatized. You know, the therapist will say, okay, I'm noticing that your like fist is clenched. They might at some point invite you to unclench that, or to not only have that body awareness, which is such a wonderful healing step in itself, but then to pair that traumatic memory with a movement in your body telling yourself that you are safe. So again, I'm not doing it justice a whole lot, so look that one up more. And then these, as the Body Keeps the Score says many times, these are not official therapies, but it sure as heck is therapy. Theater, dance, so both of those, at least dance, are involving music. We talked about how healing music can be, but any kind of movement, especially movement that's with others, so then you're getting the double whammy of that and community. And then if you can add the triple whammy, healing your trauma of something expressive and creative. That's why I mentioned those. Theater and dance, super healing for trauma, helping you get back to your body, back to yourself. Yoga, at least just like the elements that it contains of like stretching and some mind relaxation, that can be great. I've known people, I had someone I volunteered with who said she like wept as she was healing from some childhood trauma, just doing like the child's pose, like knees tucked to her chest, etc. That can just be really healing for people. So again, the Body Keeps the Score will go into that. On that note, I have 3 books left over, and I think one of those books makes sense to me because someone said they already had the book. But I feel like one of you forgot to take your book. So anyway, get in touch with me if you need that book. Okay, last thing I'll say is I want to bring up the theme of identity. So this seems like something unrelated, and I brought this up at the end, but it's super related. So burnout is the key word here. So this can be a really good antidote for burnout, just like a guiding question, because nobody can tell you if you're burnt out or not. Although I think a really good way to determine that is look back to Rachel's definition from her talk, that consistently, not just like on a one-off day, the demands on me are exceeding my capacity. Also look to her example. She really found herself in a place of like being able to trust her gut. So, when we're kind of second guessing ourselves, that can be like perpetuating burnout. So that is what I will say right off the get-go. But again, it is something, determining if we're burnt out and what we should do about it, that is something individual to people. So here's something that can really guide us as a mindset through that, because burnout takes a toll. I mean, it takes a toll on being able to be there for our loved ones and even just for our own sake. And we don't want to like shorten our lifespan. Seriously, like can, as you know, lead to lots of health problems and stuff like that. So this idea of identity being related to it, we often will put our identity right in front and center of our work. So this is one reason why it was hard for me to retire from the pregnancy center last fall, because I just kept thinking, well, oh, if I quit, then am I really a person who, wants to show up for mothers? And, am I really a person who sees the dignity of babies that are in utero? Am I really someone who loves children? Because these, families would often come with their children. Like, all of that is still part of who I am. But I was wrapping myself up so much in my work that I forgot, like, who I am is 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 not just what I do. So I invited everybody at the end of the workshop to consider this. So God, or maybe you call God your higher power, or whatever you believe with your spirituality, if you can believe God to be benevolent, loving, someone who cares about you as a person, I would invite you to do something that I did as a teenager, which is simply to go in a quiet room, or maybe even with people that you care about. And they could do this too. Just get a notepad and ask God, what are the false names that I have thought of myself for my life, and write them down, whatever comes to your mind. And then ask God, what are the names that you call me? So without getting into it too much, God has called me his messenger of hope, said your commission is to speak and to enable others to speak that feel like they can't. And that another name that he calls me is bridge builder. So you can see why I had so much joy with this workshop with all of you. I'm linking into this text to you Jamie and Donna Winship's project called the Identity Exchange, and they talk a lot about this concept of really discovering truly who we are. And also at the end of the workshop, I invited you all to do an imagination exercise of the last time that you felt a lot of joy. And I was also connecting that back to something else we talked about, which was different brainwave states. Some people will call that flow. When you're doing something, you're experiencing a lot of pleasure, but it doesn't feel like work. And that's kind of both alpha and theta brainwaves going. So relaxation, but also focus. So kind of a cool thing that could be tied to your identity. So, if you're just feeling like something's effortless, that's a key word. That could be part of who you are. So it might just be like cool to figure that out. All right, well, I will catch you later and hopefully see you at the next workshop. If you didn't get a chance to, definitely give me some feedback.